Hey Seahawks Nation, get ready, because what's happening in Seattle right now isn't just another headline. It's not just a scheme tweak or a roster shuffle. It's the kind of thing that shifts the vibe of the fan base, changes what people are saying on podcasts, messes with national analysts, and puts this team in front of decisions that can redefine the entire season. Imagine watching a part of the defense that looked stable suddenly fall apart, while another group, expected to collapse under injuries, finds an unlikely answer and suddenly gets a guy nobody saw coming. And right when that happens, the offense starts triggering heavy debate about the future of a veteran who was supposed to be a reliable piece, yet still hasn't clicked the way Seattle expected. Three different storylines, all tied together by something that can't be ignored anymore. The Seahawks are getting ready to decide who is actually part of this franchise's future. So buckle up, because today we're talking about a defensive shakeup, a surprise inside the linebacker room, and how it might directly impact the offensive direction heading into 2026. And that leaves only one question stuck in the heads of everyone watching this team closely: what exactly is Seattle building? So hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because today's video is one you don't want to miss. Let's start with something that was shaping up to be one of the coolest development stories in Seattle. When Darian Kendrick landed with the Seahawks, he didn't arrive with star treatment. He wasn't plan A or plan B, honestly, he was basically a who? An emergency answer, a quiet name who suddenly turned into a real solution on the field. But now, looking back, there's a detail that flips the whole narrative. It looked like he had finally found his place, but something started slipping out of control, and almost nobody noticed at first. Remember the 31-17 win over the Steelers? Kendrick basically stepped off the plane and straight onto the field. No practice reps, no adjustment period, and still played almost 68% of the defensive snaps. With Witherspoon and Emenwari hurt, he was thrown into the slot and ended up changing the whole vibe of that game with a red zone pick off Aaron Rodgers. That wasn't just a stat. It was personality, it was instinct, the kind of play that keeps a team from falling apart. And the next week, in the 44-13 win over the Saints, Kendrick showed up again with another interception. Out of position again, competitive again, sharp again. It was that classic case of a guy nobody expected who earns reps, builds confidence, and starts looking ready to take off. Then the unexpected hit. Just when everyone figured he'd be a quiet but strategic piece for the future of the secondary, Seattle shocked everyone and cut Darian Kendrick. The surprise got even bigger once people realized his snaps vanished the moment Witherspoon and Emenwari returned, while Rick Woolen and Josh Jobe started balling out. In the last 4 games, Kendrick didn't play a single defensive snap in 3 of them. He was only on special teams. Even so, the release feels early. Woolen and Jobe are both free agents after this year, leaving Witherspoon as the only experienced corner guaranteed for 2026. That's not the ideal moment to get rid of depth. Which raises possibilities. Is Kendrick a poor fit for Mike Macdonald's system? Is Seattle accelerating the development of 5th-rounder Nehemiah Pritchett, who's been earning snaps? And here's another layer. Kendrick still has to go through waivers. If nobody claims him, he could return to the practice squad. And that group already has 2 veterans, Shaquille Griffin and Jamar Jean-Charles. In other words, this story might not be done. Now let's jump to the unit that turned that 30-24 win over the Titans into a movie, the linebackers. Macdonald had no starters. Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight? Out! That's when chaos needed a hero. Patrick O'Connell grabbed meaningful snaps, but the spotlight landed on Drake Thomas. He played every single one of the defense's 76 snaps, never came off the field for a second. He became the heartbeat out there, led the unit, and stacked up 10 tackles while shutting down Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, who combined for fewer than 25 rushing yards. And the numbers only tell half the truth. According to ESPN's Brady Henderson, that 4-yard tackle for loss on Pollard was Thomas's 9th TFL in his last 8 games. Add that to a sack in that same stretch, and he's now the second leading tackler on the entire team with 58, behind only Ernest Jones. And here's what takes this from a good story to a fan-favorite storyline. Thomas was undrafted. No hype, no expectations, no spotlight. Now he's becoming exactly the kind of guy Seattle fans fall in love with. The one who thrives through adversity, buys into McDonald's system, and turns an emergency into identity. But while the defense finds unexpected answers, the offense is dealing with a much heavier question. A quiet controversy with a big offseason impact is forming around Cooper Kupp. The veteran still hasn't found his rhythm, even though he came in expected to be the seasoned presence in the wide receiver group. He's trending toward one of the worst years of his career despite being the second most targeted player on the roster. Which leads to a debate Seattle can't dodge anymore. Is he worth keeping in 2026? That's where USA Today's Ayrton Osley jumps in with his mock draft, projecting USC wideout Mekhi Lemon to Seattle in the first round. Lemon has 78 catches, 1,124 yards, and 10 touchdowns with the Trojans. A reliable slot target who fits perfectly alongside JSN, who's growing into the explosive role in this offense. Osley called Lemon the safest bet in the draft to become an immediate WR2. Strong after the catch, tailor-made for motion and Seattle's fast release scheme. But here's why this prediction hits harder than a typical mock. Drafting Lemon would basically mean Seattle is ready to move on from Kupp long-term. But cutting Kupp right now would cost roughly $12 to $13.5 million in dead money. John Schneider almost never eats that kind of hit without a clear master plan. So there's a real question to ask. Does it make sense to spend a first-round pick on a position that already has Shaheed, Horton, and JSN trending upward? Or should Seattle focus on another need like the offensive line? Especially with Gray Zabel turning into one of Schneider's best late first-round hits in years, while Anthony Bradford is still struggling to protect the quarterback. Maybe Lemon is just an option. Or maybe he's a sign that Seattle is quietly planning a shakeup. In the end, Seattle is entering a stretch of real strategic choices. Cutting Kendrick could be a bet on Pritchett's development and a closer look at the veteran market. Drake Thomas is proving the defense can still produce difference makers even under pressure. And Kupp's situation is already shaping projections, conversations, and possible paths for 2026, even if the team isn't in a rush to lock in a decision right now. So I want to see Seahawks Nation down in the comments. Do you think cutting Kendrick was an unnecessary risk? Is Drake Thomas truly the missing piece in this defense? And if you were GM, would you invest in a wide receiver in the next draft? Drop your take below, because I want to hear what this fan base thinks. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep showing the NFL the power of this fan base. Go Hawks!